My beloved soul, something extraordinary is about to be revealed to you, something that most people will never understand in their entire lifetime. You have been told that others hurt you, that they caused your pain, that they are the reason your heart feels heavy. But listen carefully, because what Archangel Michael is about to show you will shake everything you thought you knew. The chains you feel right now are not held by them. They are held by what you refuse to release. Yes, this is the truth that few dare to speak. There is a moment approaching, a sacred turning point on July 21st, where the spiritual realm opens a doorway. Not for everyone, but for those who are ready to see, ready to let go, ready to rise. And if you are hearing this message right now, it is not by accident. Archangel Michael stands near you in this very moment, his presence calm yet powerful, his voice cutting through the noise of your thoughts. He is not here to judge you. He is here to free you. He shows you something, a vision. You are standing in a vast open space, but your feet cannot move. Around your ankles are chains, thick, heavy, cold. You try to step forward, but something pulls you back. At first, you think someone else is holding them. But then you look down, and what you see will change everything. The chains are not locked by another person. They are locked by your own grip. Every moment you replay in your mind, every word that hurt you, every betrayal you refuse to release, it tightens the hold. Not because they are still doing it, but because you are still holding it. Feel that truth for a second. This is not about blaming you. This is about awakening you. Archangel Michael speaks gently now, beloved. Forgiveness is not for them. It is the key I place in your hand to unlock your own freedom. You may feel resistance rising inside you right now. A voice saying, but they don't deserve forgiveness. And you are right. This is where the divine mystery begins. Forgiveness was never about what they deserve. It is about what you deserve. Peace, freedom, flight. You were not created to live with a heavy heart. You were not meant to carry the weight of yesterday into every step of your future. Yet, without realizing it, many souls spend years, even lifetimes, dragging chains they have the power to release at any moment. And July 21st is not just another day. It is a call, a sacred invitation from the divine to lay those chains down once and for all. But here is the question only you can answer. Are you ready to open your hand? Because the moment you do, everything changes. Archangel Michael is waiting to show you how. There is something that most people never notice, yet it quietly shapes the course of their entire life. It is not what was done to them, but what they continue to carry long after the moment has passed. The unseen weight of unforgiveness does not simply sit in the mind. It settles into the heart, into the body, into the very energy that flows through your soul. And slowly, without warning, it begins to change everything. You may not even realize it at first. It shows up in small ways. A sudden heaviness when you wake up. A lack of excitement for things that once brought you joy. A feeling of being stuck, as if life is moving forward for everyone else, but you are standing still. You try to push through it, to distract yourself, to keep going. But deep inside, something remains unresolved, and it keeps calling your attention back to it. Archangel Michael steps closer in this moment, his presence steady and filled with truth. He reveals that every unresolved hurt creates an energetic imprint. It is like a cord, invisible to your eyes, but deeply felt within your spirit. These cords connect you to moments of pain, to people who may no longer even be in your life, yet their influence lingers because the connection has never been released. And here is what makes this so powerful. These cords do not just hold memories, they drain energy. Each time you revisit the pain, Each time you replay what happened, each time you feel anger or resentment rise again, that cord tightens. It pulls your energy backward, anchoring you to a past that no longer exists except within you. This is why you may feel tired without reason, why your motivation fades, why your heart feels heavy even when nothing is happening in the present moment. It is not the present that is exhausting you, it is the past that has not been set free. Archangel Michael's voice becomes clearer now, guiding you gently but firmly. He wants you to understand that unforgiveness is not just an emotional state. It is a spiritual condition. It creates a barrier between you and the flow of divine blessings. Not because you are being punished, but because your hands are too full to receive what is trying to come to you. Imagine trying to hold on to something tightly while also reaching out for something new. It is impossible. The same is true for your spirit. When you cling to pain, there is no space for peace. When you hold on to anger, there is no room for joy. When you refuse to release, you unknowingly block the very freedom you are seeking. There are people who wonder why opportunities pass them by, why relationships feel strained, why their path seems unclear. They look outward for answers, not realizing that the blockage is internal. It is not that blessings are not being sent, it is that they cannot land where there is no space. Archangel Michael shows you another vision now. You are carrying a heavy backpack filled with stones. Each stone represents a moment you refuse to forgive. At first, the weight seems manageable, but as time passes, more stones are added. Eventually, the burden becomes overwhelming. You struggle to walk, to breathe, to move forward. Yet, the moment you begin to remove even one stone, you feel lighter. The path becomes easier. Your steps become stronger. This is the hidden truth. Every act of forgiveness removes a stone. Every release lightens your load. And with each step, you move closer to the life you were always meant to live. But here's where many people hesitate. They believe that holding on to the pain protects them, that by not forgiving, they are somehow maintaining control or ensuring that what happened will never happen again. But in reality, the opposite is true. Holding on does not protect you, it imprisons you. It keeps you tied to the very thing you wish to escape. Archangel Michael's presence softens, and there is a deep compassion in his voice now. He understands how difficult this is. He knows the depth of what you have experienced. He is not asking you to pretend it did not hurt. He is not asking you to excuse what was done. He is asking you to choose yourself over the pain. Because the truth is, forgiveness is not about rewriting the past. It is about reclaiming your future. There is a shift beginning to stir within you now. You can feel it, even if you cannot fully explain it. A quiet awareness, a gentle realization that something must change, that perhaps the weight you have been carrying is no longer yours to hold. And as this awareness grows, Archangel Michael prepares to speak more deeply, to reveal the sacred truth behind why forgiveness holds such transformative power. Not as a concept, but as a divine law that governs your freedom. The question is no longer whether you have been hurt. The question is, are you ready to stop carrying it? A sacred stillness begins to surround you now, as if time itself slows down to allow this moment to unfold. There is a presence here, strong, unwavering, filled with divine authority, and you can feel it deep within your spirit. Archangel Michael is no longer just guiding you, he is now speaking directly into the very core of your soul. Beloved, his voice echoes with both strength and compassion. You have carried what was never meant to stay. There is something about these words that pierces through every layer of resistance. You begin to see it more clearly now. The pain you have been holding on to is real, Yes, the wounds were not imagined, but the weight of them, the continued suffering, that is something that has been sustained by holding on, not by what originally happened. Archangel Michael reveals a truth that feels both simple and overwhelming at the same time. He shows you that every time you hold on to pain, you unknowingly give power to a moment that has already passed. You allow it to live again and again, not in reality, but within your heart. And in doing so, you remain connected to it, bound to it, as if it never truly ended. This is the hidden spiritual law that so many fail to understand. What you hold on to holds on to you. It is not just a memory. It becomes a living energy within you, shaping your thoughts, influencing your emotions, guiding your reactions. It becomes a silent force that dictates how you see the world and how you move through it. And without realizing it, you begin to build your present around something that belongs to your past. Archangel Michael steps closer, and there is a gentle urgency in his presence now. You seek freedom, he continues, but you guard the very chains that bind you. Take a moment to feel the weight of that truth. There is no judgment in his words, only clarity. He wants you to see that forgiveness is not an act of weakness. It is an act of spiritual authority. It is a decision to no longer allow the past to control your present. It is a declaration that your soul is no longer available for bondage. But here is where the struggle often begins. You have been taught, in many ways, that forgiveness means accepting what was done, or pretending it no longer matters. And deep inside, something resists that idea. Because how can you simply let go of something that hurt you so deeply? Archangel Michael answers this unspoken question with a powerful revelation. Forgiveness does not erase what happened, he says. It releases your attachment to it. This changes everything. You are not being asked to deny your experience. You are not being asked to say it was right. You are being invited to remove its control over you, to take back the energy that has been tied to that moment and return it to yourself. Because every piece of pain you hold on to is a piece of your energy that has not yet come home. Imagine what your life would feel like if all of that energy returned to you. The strength, the clarity, the peace, the lightness. It has always been yours, but it has been scattered across moments you refuse to release. This is why forgiveness is so powerful. It calls your energy back. Archangel Michael now reveals something even deeper. He shows you that forgiveness is not just a personal act. It is a divine alignment. When you forgive, you step into harmony with a higher spiritual law, the law of release and renewal. You allow the divine to step in where you have been holding control. You trust that justice, healing, and balance are not yours to carry, but are already being handled in ways beyond your understanding. And in the surrender, something extraordinary happens. The chains begin to loosen. Not all at once, but enough for you to feel it. A slight shift. A breath that feels deeper. A space within your heart that was not there before. It is subtle, but it is real. Archangel Michael looks upon you with unwavering assurance. You are not losing anything by forgiving, he says softly. You are reclaiming everything. Let those words settle within you. This is not about them. It has never been about them. This is about you stepping back into your power, your freedom, your divine identity. This is about choosing to no longer be defined by what hurt you, but by what is possible when you are free. And now, in this sacred moment, you are being asked to make a choice. Not a forced decision, not something rushed, but a quiet, powerful willingness within your heart. A willingness to begin. Even if it is just a small step. Even if it feels incomplete. Even if part of you is still unsure. Because the moment you choose to move toward forgiveness, the moment you open that door, divine forces begin to move with you. Type "I release" and rise in the comments if this message is touching your spirit. Blessing code 3147 has just been activated over your life. And as this sacred truth settles within you, there is something more unfolding, something that will challenge what you thought justice looked like, and reveal a deeper understanding that will either keep you bound or finally set you free. Now, listen closely, because what comes next may change how you see everything. The moment you choose to release what has been holding your heart hostage, you also step into a greater flow of divine purpose. This message you are receiving is not Selhucha Ikaki Enyer Ikaki, it is a calling. There are countless souls still trapped in their own silent pain, waiting for a light like this to reach them. And when you respond to this message, you become part of that light. God is whispering through this very moment, "Give, and it shall be given unto you, pressed down, shaken together, and running over." This is not just a verse. It is a living promise speaking directly into your life right now. As you receive freedom, you are also being invited to help carry this freedom to others. I feel in my spirit that someone reading this has been waiting for a sign to act, to step into alignment, to sow into something greater than themselves. This is that moment. When you give through Super Thanks or through the PayPal link in the description and QR code, you are not just supporting a channel. You are planting a seed into the healing of hearts across the world. Every contribution becomes a ripple of light, reaching someone who feels lost, someone who needs exactly what you are receiving right now. And as you sow, heaven sees it. Your act becomes a testimony, a declaration that you are aligned with truth, with healing, with divine purpose. Do not hesitate. Step into this moment with faith. Release, receive, and give as you are led. And watch how blessings begin to flow back into your life in ways you never expected. There is a quiet tension that begins to rise within you now, almost as if something inside is being challenged at its very core. It is not resistance for the sake of defiance. It is something deeper. A question that has lived in your heart for a long time, waiting to be answered. If you release, then what about justice? This question echoes in the silence, and Archangel Michael hears it clearly. His presence does not withdraw. Instead, it becomes even more steady, even more grounded, as if preparing to reveal a truth that many are not ready to accept. "Beloved," he begins, his voice calm yet filled with authority, "you have confused holding on with holding accountable." These words land with precision. You begin to realize that somewhere along the way, you equated your pain with proof. Proof that what happened mattered. Proof that it should not be ignored. Proof that someone should answer for it. And so, you held on to it. Not just because it hurt, but because letting go felt like letting them escape responsibility. Archangel Michael gently unfolds the deeper truth. The desire for justice is not wrong. It is natural. It is part of your human experience to seek balance, fairness, and truth. But what has happened is that this desire has been misplaced. You have taken on a role that was never meant for you to carry. You have tried to become both the witness and the judge. And in doing so, you have kept yourself bound to the very situation you long to be free from. There is a pause now, as if allowing this realization to fully settle within you. It may feel uncomfortable. It may even stir emotions you did not expect. But this is where transformation begins, not in comfort, but in truth. Archangel Michael continues, his voice now carrying a deep resonance. Divine justice does not require your suffering to exist. Let that sink in. You have been taught, in subtle ways, that your pain somehow validates the wrong that was done. that by holding on to it, you are keeping the truth alive. But in reality, truth does not depend on your suffering. Justice does not need your pain to be fulfilled. There is a divine order at work, one that operates far beyond what you can see or control. Every action, every intention, every choice carries its own consequence within the greater design of existence. Not always in ways that are immediate or visible, but always in ways that are precise and balanced. And yet, when you hold on to pain waiting for justice, you unknowingly delay your own healing, because your focus remains tied to what they did rather than what you are meant to become. Archangel Michael shows you another vision now. You are standing in a courtroom, holding a heavy case file. You have been waiting for a verdict, waiting for someone to declare what was right or wrong. But as time passes, you realize something unexpected. The courtroom is empty. No judge. No audience. No final decision being announced. Just you holding the case, unable to leave. And then Archangel Michael steps into that space, his presence filling the room with light. You are free to walk out, he says. But I haven't received justice, you respond, your voice filled with uncertainty. He looks at you with compassion, but also with truth. Justice is not found in staying here. It is found in trusting that what is beyond you is already being handled so that you may step into what is meant for you. This is where the illusion begins to break. You start to see that waiting for closure from others, waiting for acknowledgement, waiting for an apology that may never come has kept you in a place where life cannot fully reach you. You have been standing still waiting for something that is not required for your freedom, because freedom was never dependent on them. It has always been within your reach. Archangel Michael's presence softens again, reminding you that this is not about dismissing your experience. What happened still matters. Your feelings are still valid. But your future, your peace, your ability to rise cannot remain tied to something that refuses to resolve itself on your terms. There comes a moment in every soul's journey where a choice must be made. To continue waiting or to finally walk away. Not in defeat. Not in denial. But in power. Because walking away from the need for human justice does not mean there is no justice. It means you are choosing to trust a higher one. A divine order that does not forget, does not overlook, and does not fail. And in that trust something shifts within you. The grip begins to loosen. The weight becomes lighter. Not because everything hath been resolved externally, but because something hath been released internally. You are no longer standing in that empty courtroom. You are stepping out of it. And as you do, you begin to feel something unfamiliar yet deeply desired. Space. Space to breathe. Space to heal. Space to move forward without looking back every step of the way. Archangel Michael walks beside you now, not ahead, not behind, beside you. His presence a reminder that you are not alone in this process. You are not losing justice, he says quietly. You are gaining freedom. And as those words settle into your heart, you begin to understand that perhaps the greatest act of justice you can give yourself is no longer needing it to move forward. Something is breaking open within you now. And what comes next will show you how those chains you once felt can finally begin to fall away completely. There is a shift happening within you now. Subtle, yet undeniable. It feels like something long held in place is beginning to loosen, like a knot slowly unraveling after being pulled too tight for too long. You may not fully understand it yet, but deep inside, you can sense that something is changing. This is the beginning of release. Archangel Michael draws closer once more, his presence now carrying a quiet strength that feels both protective and empowering. He does not rush you. He does not force anything upon you. Instead, he reveals what has always been true, waiting patiently for you to see it. The chains you feel, he says gently, were never locked beyond your reach. You pause with those words, letting them echo within you. Because until this moment, it may have felt like those chains were permanent, like they were placed there by forces outside of your control. But now, something deeper is being revealed. Those chains are not made of iron. They are made of connection. Every painful memory, every unresolved emotion, every moment you refused to release created a link, an energetic tie between you and that experience. And over time, those links formed what feels like a solid, unbreakable chain. But here is the truth. Archangel Michael wants you to understand: what is formed through connection can be dissolved through release. This is where forgiveness becomes more than just an idea. It becomes an action, a spiritual movement, a deliberate choice to begin dissolving those connections one by one. He shows you another vision now. You are standing once again with those chains around your ankles, but this time, you can see them more clearly. They are not rigid or lifeless. They shimmer slightly, as if made of energy rather than metal. And when you focus on one particular link, you recognize it. It is tied to a specific moment, a specific person, a specific pain you have carried. Archangel Michael speaks softly, guiding you through this sacred moment. Choose one, he says. Not all of them. Not everything at once. Just one. This is important, because many people feel overwhelmed by the idea of forgiveness. They believe they must release everything instantly, perfectly, completely. And when they cannot, they give up before they even begin. But that is not how this works. Freedom is built step by step. Archangel Michael watches as you focus on that one link. You feel the emotions connected to it begin to rise. The memory becomes clearer. The feelings return, not to hurt you again, but to be acknowledged and released. This is where courage is required. Not the kind of courage that fights or resists, but the kind that allows you to face what you have been avoiding. The kind that says, I am ready to stop carrying this. And in that moment, you hear his voice again. You do not need to carry this to prove it mattered. Something inside you softens. Because for so long, part of you believed that letting go meant diminishing the significance of what you went through. That if you released it, it would somehow mean it was not as important, not as painful, not as real. But now you see the truth. It mattered, and you can still let it go. These two things that exist together. Archangel Michael then shows you what happens when you make that choice. As you begin to release the attachment to that moment, not denying it, not erasing it, but simply choosing to no longer hold on to it, the link begins to weaken. It does not shatter violently. It dissolves. Gently, quietly, naturally. And as it does, something remarkable happens. You feel lighter. Not completely free yet, not entirely unburdened, but noticeably lighter. As if a weight you did not realize you were carrying has been lifted, even if just a little. This is how the chains break. Not all at once, but link by link. Moment by moment. Joys by joys. Archangel Michael reminds you that every time you choose forgiveness, you are not just releasing the past. You are reclaiming a part of yourself that has been trapped within it. Your energy begins to return. Your clarity begins to sharpen. Your heart begins to open in ways it has not for a long time. And with each release, your ability to move forward grows stronger. But he also acknowledges something important. There may be moments, he says, when the pain tries to return. This is part of the process. Old patterns do not disappear instantly. Memories may resurface. Emotions may rise again. But this does not mean you have failed. It simply means there are still layers being uncovered. And each time it happens, you are given another opportunity, another chance to release, another moment to choose freedom again. Because forgiveness is not always a single decision. It is a practice, a path, a repeated act of choosing yourself over the weight of what once was. And as you continue, something beautiful begins to unfold. The chains that once felt immovable start to lose their hold entirely. You begin to walk with more ease. Your steps feel lighter. Your breath feels deeper. Your heart feels more open. You are no longer dragging the past behind you. You are beginning to rise above it. Archangel Michael stands with you in this transformation, his presence a constant reminder that you are supported, guided, and protected every step of the way. And as this process continues, you will soon come face to face with something deeper, the hidden fear that has been quietly resisting this release all along. Because to truly let go, you must be willing to face what you believe will happen when you finally do. There is a quiet hesitation that begins to surface now, almost like a shadow that lingers at the edge of your awareness. You have started to release. You have felt the lightness, even if only in small moments, and yet something within you still holds back. It is not because you do not want freedom. It is because part of you is afraid of what freedom might require. Archangel Michael senses this immediately. His presence does not withdraw from your uncertainty. Instead, it becomes even more grounding, as if anchoring you in a space where you can safely face what has been hidden beneath the surface. Beloved, he speaks gently. Your resistance is not your weakness. It is your protection trying to understand what is changing. This truth begins to unfold slowly within you. Because for so long, holding on to pain has not just been about the past. It has been a form of protection, a way to guard yourself from being hurt again, a shield that you believed was necessary to survive. And now, as you begin to consider letting go, that shield feels like it is being taken away. This is where fear enters. You may hear thoughts rising within you, quiet at first, then louder. If I forgive, what if it happens again? If I let go, does that mean I am vulnerable? If I release this, will I lose control? These questions are not random. They are deeply rooted in your experience. I come from moments where trust was broken, where safety was lost, where you felt exposed and unprotected. And so, your mind tries to protect you by holding on. But Archangel Michael steps in now with a clarity that cuts through the confusion. Forgiveness does not remove your wisdom, he says. It removes your burden. This distinction is everything. You are not being asked to forget what you learned. You are not being asked to ignore the lessons that came from your pain. Those lessons are valuable. They shape your awareness. They help you recognize what is aligned with you and what is not. But the weight, the emotional attachment, the constant replaying of what happened, that is not wisdom. That is suffering. And suffering is not protection. It only feels that way because it is familiar. There is a moment of stillness as this truth begins to settle in. You start to see that what you have been holding onto has not actually been keeping you safe. It has been keeping you guarded, closed, and unable to fully experience life as it is now. Archangel Michael shows you another vision. You are standing behind a thick wall, strong and unbreakable. On one side of the wall is everything you have been trying to avoid: pain, disappointment, betrayal. But on the other side of the wall is everything you have also been longing for: connection, joy, peace, love. The wall protects you from one, but it also blocks you from the other. This is the cost of holding on. You cannot selectively block pain without also limiting your ability to receive what is good. And this is where the deeper fear reveals itself. It is not just about being hurt again. It is about stepping into a space where you are open again, where you feel again, where you trust again, and that can feel terrifying. Archangel Michael's presence softens even more, as if wrapping around you with reassurance. You are not the same person who was hurt before, he reminds you. This is something you may not have fully recognized. You have grown. You have learned. You have become more aware, more intuitive, more aligned with yourself. The version of you that experienced that pain is not the same version of you standing here now. And this means something important. You are no longer as vulnerable as you once were. Not because you are closed off, but because you are wiser. Forgiveness does not return you to a place of blindness. It moves you forward with clarity. It allows you to engage with life from a place of strength rather than fear. But to reach that place, you must be willing to release the belief that holding on to pain is what keeps you safe. Because in truth it is what keeps you stuck. There is a deep breath rising within you now. You can feel it, as if your body itself is responding to this realization. Something is beginning to shift, not forcefully, not dramatically, but steadily. The fear is still there, but it no longer feels as overwhelming. Because now, you understand it. And when you understand something, it begins to lose its power over you. Archangel Michael stands beside you, his presence unwavering. You do not need to write, he says. You only need to be willing. Willing to take one step. Willing to release one more link. Willing to trust that you are not losing your protection. You are transforming it. From fear into awareness. From resistance into freedom. And as this willingness grows within you, something powerful begins to approach. A moment of alignment. A moment where everything you have been learning, feeling, and releasing begins to come together. Because there is a reason this is happening now. There is a reason you are being guided through this process at this exact time. And very soon you will understand why July 21st carries a significance that goes far beyond what you can currently see. There is a quiet anticipation building now, like the stillness just before the first light of dawn breaks across the horizon. You have felt the weight. You have begun the release, and you have faced the fear that once held you back. But now, something deeper is calling you forward, something tied to a moment that is not random, not ordinary, and certainly not without purpose. July 21st. This date has been gently echoing in the background of your awareness, and now it steps into full clarity. Archangel Michael stands with a presence that feels more radiant than before, as if the energy surrounding this moment carries a heightened frequency, one that is aligned with transformation, release, and divine realignment. Beloved, he begins, his voice steady yet filled with a quiet urgency. This is not just a day. It is a doorway. Feel the weight of those words. A doorway suggests transition, movement, the crossing from one state into another. And what stands before you now is not just a symbolic idea. It is a spiritual opportunity. A moment where the work you have been doing internally aligns with a greater flow of divine energy that supports your release. You may wonder why certain moments carry more power than others. Why some days feel ordinary, while others seem to hold a deeper significance that you cannot fully explain. Archangel Michael reveals that there are times when the spiritual and physical realms align more closely, creating openings where transformation can occur with greater ease. July 21st is one of those moments. It is not about superstition or coincidence. It is about alignment. Everything you have been feeling, the awareness, the discomfort, the desire to let go, the courage to begin releasing, have been leading you here. Not by chance, but by design. There is a rhythm to your soul's journey, even when it feels uncertain. And right now, you are stepping into a moment where that rhythm meets a greater flow of divine timing. Archangel Michael shows you another vision. You are standing before a vast doorway made of light. It is not closed, but it is not fully open either. It waits, not for force, not for perfection, but for your willingness. On one side of the doorway is everything you have been carrying. The weight, the memories, the attachments that have kept you anchored in the past. On the other side there is space. Open, expansive, free. You cannot fully see what lies beyond, but you can feel it. There is a lightness there, a peace that does not depend on circumstances, a sense of movement that has been missing for so long. But here is the truth Archangel Michael reveals. You cannot walk through this doorway while holding on to what belongs on the other side. This is why the process of forgiveness has been unfolding within you, not as a random lesson, but as preparation. Every realization, every release, every moment of courage has been guiding you closer to this threshold. And now you are here. There may still be hesitation. A part of you may wonder if you are truly ready, if you have released enough, if you have done it right. But Archangel Michael gently dissolves these thoughts. This doorway does not require perfection, he says. It responds to intention. This means something powerful. You do not need to have everything resolved before you step forward. You only need to be willing to continue the process as you move. The act of stepping itself becomes part of the transformation. There is also something else you must understand. This moment will not wait forever. Not in a way that is meant to create fear, but in a way that invites awareness. Opportunities for deep alignment come and go. They appear when you are ready, and they invite you to respond. But they do not force you. July 21st is an opening. A sacred alignment where the energy of release is amplified, where your willingness to forgive is met with a greater support from the divine. It is a moment where what feels difficult now can become lighter, where what feels heavy can begin to dissolve more easily. Archangel Michael's presence becomes more radiant, as if reflecting the significance of what stands before you. You have been preparing for this, he says, even when you did not realize it. Think back to everything that has brought you here. The experiences, the realizations, the moments that pushed you to question what you have been holding on to. None of it was random. It was all leading to this. And now, you are being invited to step into it consciously, to choose release, to choose forgiveness, to choose freedom. Not because it is easy, but because it is time. There is a deep breath within you now, one that feels different from the others. It carries a sense of readiness, not complete certainty, but a quiet knowing that something within you is aligned with this moment. You are standing at the doorway, and what comes next will ask you to make a decision. Not someday, not eventually, but now. Because the power of this moment lies not in what is possible, but in what you choose to do with it. There is a sacred stillness surrounding you now, as if everything has paused to witness this moment. You are no longer preparing. You are no longer questioning in the same way. You are standing at the threshold, aware that what happens here will shape what comes next in your life. This is the moment of decision. Archangel Michael's presence is strong, unwavering, and filled with a quiet power that does not pressure you, but calls you forward with truth. He does not speak immediately. Instead, he allows you to feel the weight of this moment, to recognize that this choice belongs to you and you alone, because no one else can make it for you. You have seen the chains. You have felt their weight. You have begun to understand how they were formed and how they can be released. You have even taken steps to loosen them. But now, you are being asked to go deeper. Not just to release in parts, but to choose freedom fully. And that is where the true decision lies. Archangel Michael finally speaks, his voice steady and filled with divine authority. Beloved, forgiveness is not something you wait to feel. It is something you choose to become. These words settle deeply within you, because for so long, you may have believed that forgiveness would come naturally one day, that time would heal everything, that eventually the pain would fade enough for you to let go without effort. But now you see the truth. Time does not release. Choice does. Waiting does not unlock the chains. Decision does. There is a shift happening inside you now, something more intentional, more conscious. You are no longer looking at forgiveness as a distant possibility. You are seeing it as an action you can take in this very moment. But even now, there may still be a part of you that hesitates. Not because you do not understand, but because you feel the weight of what you are about to do. Letting go completely can feel like stepping into the unknown. It can feel like releasing something you have carried for so long that it has become part of your identity. And that is where Archangel Michael brings clarity once more. You are not releasing who you are, he said. You are releasing who you were forced to become. His truth breaks through the final layer of resistance. Because the pain, the anger, the guardedness, it was never your true nature. It was a response. A version of you that formed to survive, to cope, to make sense of what happened. But now you are no longer in that moment. You are here. And you have the power to choose who you are moving forward. Archangel Michael extends his hand, not physically, but energetically, spiritually. It is an invitation, not a demand. A reminder that you are supported, that you are not stepping into this alone. Choose, he says softly. And in this moment, everything becomes quiet. No noise, no distractions. Just you and the truth that has been unfolding within you. You take a breath, and then you decide. Not perfectly, not with every emotion completely resolved, but with intention, with willingness, with the understanding that this choice is for you, not for anyone else. You choose to forgive, not because they deserve it, but because you deserve to be free. And as that choice settles into your being, something powerful begins to happen. The chains begin to fall. Not slowly this time, but with a sense of release that feels almost immediate. The weight that once held you down starts to lift in a way you have never experienced before. It is not that the memories disappear, but their hold on you dissolves. You feel it in your chest first, a lightness, a space where heaviness once lived. Your breath deepens. Your body relaxes. Your mind becomes quieter, no longer replaying the same moments over and over again. And then something even more extraordinary happens. You feel expansion, as if the space around you has opened, as if you are no longer confined in the way you once were. The doorway that stood before you is now fully open, and for the first time, you are not just looking at it. You are stepping through it. Archangel Michael stands beside you, his presence now filled with a quiet joy. This, he says, is what freedom feels like. It is not loud. It is not overwhelming. It is peaceful. It is light. It is yours. And in this moment, you begin to understand something that words could never fully explain. Forgiveness was never about losing anything. It was about gaining everything that was waiting for you on the other side. Type "I choose freedom" now in the comments if you are stepping into this release. Blessing code 8821 is now activated over your spirit. As you stand in this new space, feeling the lightness, the openness, the quiet strength that has returned to you, there is something more unfolding. Something that will show you just how deeply this choice will transform every part of your life. Because what happens after forgiveness is where the true miracle begins. And as you step into this freedom, understand that what you have just done is not only for yourself. This moment ripples outward, touching lives you may never even see. There are souls still bound by the same chains you have just released, waiting for a light to guide them. And through your action, that light grows stronger. The Lord speaks even now. Cast your bread upon the waters, for you will find it after many days. This is a living invitation, calling you to participate in something greater than yourself. As you have received, you are now positioned to give, to sow into the healing of others who are still searching for this same breakthrough. I feel a stirring for those who are ready to act, who sense that this is not just a message but a moment of alignment. When you give through Super Thanks or through the PayPal link and QR code in the description, you are not just offering support, you are releasing seeds into fertile ground, seeds that will grow into testimonies of freedom across the world. This is your moment to respond, not out of obligation, but out of divine connection. As you give, you step into the flow of abundance, where what leaves your hand does not diminish you, but multiplies through the hands of God. Step into it with boldness. Let your giving become a prophetic act, a declaration that you are aligned with light, with healing, with purpose. And as you do, may blessings return to you in ways that overflow beyond what you can imagine. There is a quiet transformation unfolding within you now, one that does not need to announce itself loudly to be real. It is not something that demands attention from the outside world, yet within you, everything feels different. The moment you chose to forgive did not just remove a burden, it created space. And in that space, something new has begun to emerge. At first, it may feel unfamiliar. You wake up, and there is a subtle lightness in your chest. The thoughts that once rushed in, pulling you back into old memories, seem quieter now. The emotional weight that used to sit heavily within you has softened. It is not that everything has disappeared completely, but it no longer controls you in the same way. This is the beginning of true transformation. Archangel Michael stands with you, his presence calm and affirming, as if witnessing the unfolding of something sacred. He does not rush this process, because he knows that what is happening now is deeper than a single moment. It is the result of a choice that has begun to reshape your entire inner world. Beloved, he says softly, what you have released has made room for what was waiting. This is something many people never fully understand. Forgiveness is not just about letting go of pain. It is about making space for something greater to enter your life. When you were holding on to the past, your energy was occupied. Your heart was filled with unresolved emotion. Your mind was focused on what had already happened. But now there is space. And in that space, new things begin to grow. You may start to notice changes in how you respond to situations. Things that once triggered strong reactions may no longer affect you as deeply. You may find yourself feeling more patient, more grounded, more at peace in moments where you once felt overwhelmed. This is not weakness. This is strength in its purest form. Because true strength is not found in holding on to pain. It is found in no longer being controlled by it. Archangel Michael reveals another layer of this transformation. He shows you how your energy, once tied to the past, is now returning to you. It is like pieces of yourself that were scattered across different moments are being gathered back together. And as they return, you begin to feel more whole, more present, more alive. This is why forgiveness feels like freedom, because it restores your connection to yourself. You may also begin to notice changes in your physical body. A sense of relaxation where tension once lived, a deeper breath, a lighter step. These are not coincidences. The body carries what the heart holds, and when the heart begins to release, the body follows. This is healing in its natural form. Not forced, not rushed, but real. Archangel Michael's presence becomes even more radiant now, as if reflecting the beauty of what is unfolding within you. There is more, he says gently, because what you are experiencing now is only the beginning. As you continue to walk in this state of release, you will begin to attract different experiences into your life. Not because you are trying to control anything, but because your energy has changed. You are no longer aligned with the weight of the past, and so, new possibilities begin to open. You may encounter people who feel different, lighter, more aligned with who you are becoming. You may find opportunities appearing where there once seemed to be none. You may feel drawn toward things that bring you peace rather than drain your energy. This is not coincidence. This is alignment. When you release what no longer serves you, you naturally move into a space where what does serve you can find you. Archangel Michael also reminds you of something important. There may still be moments when old memories return, he says. This is part of the process. But now, those memories do not have the same power. They may appear, but they do not anchor you. They pass through you, rather than pulling you back. And each time they arise, you have the opportunity to reinforce your choice, to remain in freedom rather than returning to bondage. This is how transformation becomes permanent. Not by avoiding the past, but by no longer being affected by it in the same way. There is a quiet confidence growing within you now. Not loud and not forceful, but steady. A knowing that you have crossed a threshold, that you are no longer who you were before this moment. You are lighter. You are clear. You are free in a way you have not experienced for a long time. And as you continue forward, something else begins to reveal itself. You start to recognize signs, subtle at first, then more clear, that show you just how much has changed. Not just within you, but around you. Because when you truly release the past, life begins to respond. And what comes next will help you understand exactly how to recognize that you have stepped fully into this new reality. There is a quiet awareness growing within you now, like a light that does not flicker but steadily expands. You have felt the release. You have experienced the shift. But now, something deeper begins to unfold, recognition. You begin to see the evidence of what has changed. Not in dramatic, overwhelming ways at first, but in subtle, undeniable signs that something within you is no longer the same. These signs are not random. They are confirmations, gentle messages that you have truly stepped into a new state of being. Archangel Michael stands beside you, his presence calm and watchful, as if guiding you to notice what you may have overlooked before. Beloved, he says softly, freedom reveals itself in the smallest moments. And as you begin to look more closely, you start to understand what he means. One of the first signs is the silence. Not the absence of sound, but the absence of inner noise. The constant replaying of past events, the endless questioning, the emotional loops that once consumed your thoughts, they begin to fade. Your mind no longer feels like a place of conflict, but a space of clarity. This is one of the clearest signs that you have released something deeply rooted. Because when the past no longer controls your thoughts, it no longer controls your life. Another sign begins to show itself in your reactions. Situations that once triggered strong emotional responses now feel different. You may notice that you pause before reacting, that you respond with calm instead of intensity. It is not that you have become indifferent. It is that you are no longer tied to the emotional charge that once defined those moments. This is emotional freedom. Archangel Michael gently reminds you that this is not something to overlook. You are not becoming less, he says. You are becoming balanced. There is a strength in this balance, a quiet power that does not need to prove itself. You no longer feel the need to defend your pain or justify your past. You simply exist in a space where those things no longer define you. And then, there is the shift in how you see others. This may surprise you. People you once held resentment toward no longer carry the same emotional weight in your heart. You may think of them, but the intensity is gone. The anger has softened. The need for resolution has faded. In its place there is neutrality, and sometimes even compassion. Not because what they did was right, but because you are no longer bound to what they did. You are able to see them as they are, imperfect, human, and separate from your own path. This is one of the most powerful signs of true release, because it shows that the connection that once held you has been dissolved. Archangel Michael shows you another layer of this transformation. You begin to feel a sense of openness toward life again. Things that once felt distant or unreachable now seem possible. You may feel drawn to new experiences, new ideas, new directions. There is a curiosity returning to you, a willingness to explore rather than withdrawal. This is the return of your spirit. When you were carrying the weight of the past, your energy was focused inward, trapped in cycles of reflection and emotion. But now, that energy is free to move outward, to engage with the world around you. And this changes everything. You may also notice that your relationships begin to shift. Some may feel lighter, more aligned with who you are becoming. Others may naturally fall away, no longer resonating with your energy. This is not loss. This is alignment. Archangel Michael reminds you that as you change, your environment responds. You begin to attract what matches your new state of being. Not through effort, but through resonance. You are no longer calling in what reflects your wounds, he says. You are calling in what reflects your healing. There is a deep sense of peace that begins to settle within you now. Not the kind that depends on everything being perfect, but a steady, grounded peace that remains even when life continues to move around you. This is the peace that comes from within. It is not given by others. It is not taken by circumstances. It is created by your own release. And as you recognize these signs, something important becomes clear. You have changed. Not in a temporary way, not in a surface-level shift, but in a way that reaches the core of who you are. The person who once carried those chains is no longer standing where you are now. You have moved beyond that. Archangel Michael's presence remains beside you, a quiet witness to this transformation. Do not doubt what has happened within you, he says gently. Even if it feels subtle, it is real. Because sometimes, the most powerful changes are not the ones that shout for attention, but the ones that quietly reshape your entire reality. And now, as you stand in this new awareness, something even greater begins to call you forward. Because freedom is not just about release. It is about what you step into next. And what lies ahead is a version of yourself that is no longer bound, no longer held back, no longer defined by the past. A version of you that is ready to rise and to truly fly. There is a new sensation rising within you now, one that feels unfamiliar, yet deeply natural at the same time. It is not the weight you once carried. It is not the tension that used to sit quietly beneath your thoughts. It is something lighter, something expansive, something that feels like movement after a long period of stillness. This is what it feels like to begin rising. You are no longer standing where you once were. The chains that held you have fallen. The weight that slowed you has been released. And now, there is nothing anchoring you to the ground in the same way as before. At first, this can feel almost disorienting. When you have carried heaviness for so long, lightness can feel unfamiliar. But this is your true state. Archangel Michael stands with you now in a presence that feels both powerful and uplifting, as if the very energy around you is beginning to lift. His voice carries a tone of quiet assurance, guiding you into what comes next. Beloved, he says, you were never created to crawl through life. You were created to rise above it. These words awaken something deep within you. Because if you look back, you can see how much of your energy was spent simply trying to move forward while weighed down. Every step required effort. Every moment carried resistance. You were surviving, not soaring. But now, something has changed. You are no longer using your strength to carry what does not belong to you. You are using your strength to become who you truly are. Archangel Michael reveals another vision, one that feels more vivid than the others. You are standing at the edge of a vast open space. There is no wall, no barrier, no limitation in front of you, only endless sky. For a moment, you hesitate, not because you are afraid of falling, but because you are not used to the idea that you can actually rise. And then he speaks again. You do not need to force yourself upward, he says. You only need to release what pulls you down. This truth settles into you with clarity. Rising is not something you struggle to achieve. It is something that happens naturally when there is nothing holding you back. And now there is nothing holding you back. You take a step forward, not physically, but energetically, spiritually. And as you do, something extraordinary happens. You begin to lift, not in a dramatic or overwhelming way, but in a steady, undeniable motion. The heaviness that once kept you grounded is gone, and in its place, there is a sense of freedom that feels almost limitless. This is what it means to fly, not in the literal sense, but in the way your soul moves, in the way your energy expands, in the way your life begins to unfold when it is no longer restricted by the weight of the past. Archangel Michael remains beside you, his presence now filled with a quiet joy. This is your true nature, he says. Freedom is not something you earn. It is something you return to. There is a deep understanding forming within you now. You realize that everything you have been through, every moment of pain, every experience that led you here, it did not take your ability to rise away from you. It only covered it. And now, that covering has been removed. You begin to see your life differently. Not as a series of struggles, but as a path that has led you to this moment of awakening. You are no longer defined by what happened to you. You are defined by what you chose to become in response to it. This is your power. And with this power comes a new responsibility, not to carry others, not to fix everything around you, but to remain in alignment with the freedom you have found. Because it is possible to return to old patterns if you are not aware. Archangel Michael gently reminds you of this. Guard your freedom, he says. Not with fear, but with awareness. This means continuing to choose release when all thoughts try to return. It means recognizing when something no longer aligns with your peace and having the strength to step away from it. It means honoring the space you have created within yourself and not filling it again with what once weighed you down. This is how you sustain your flight. Not by effort, but by choice. There is a sense of clarity within you now that feels unshakable. You know what it feels like to be free, and because of that, you will recognize anything that tries to take that freedom away. You are no longer unaware. You are no longer bound. You are no longer the person who once carried those chains. You are someone who has released them. And as you continue to rise, something beautiful begins to unfold. Your life starts to reflect this freedom in ways that go beyond what you can currently see. Opportunities, connections, experiences, they begin to align with the energy you are now carrying. Because when you rise, everything around you begins to rise with you. Archangel Michael watches over you, his presence steady and unwavering, as if reminding you that this is not the end of your journey, but the beginning of a new way of living. A way where you are no longer held back. A way where you move with ease instead of resistance. A way where your heart is no longer heavy but open, light, and free. And as this new chapter begins to unfold, there is one final message waiting for you. A message that will bring everything together and remind you that you are not only free but deeply supported, guided, and at peace. My precious soul, there is a gentle peace settling over you now, a peace that does not rush, does not demand, and does not question whether it belongs. It simply arrives and it stays. You have walked through something sacred. You have faced what many avoid. You have felt what many suppress. And most importantly, you have released what many continue to carry. And now, you are no longer standing in the same place where this journey began. There is a softness in your heart that was not there before. Not weakness but openness. Not fragility but trust. You are no longer guarded in the same way, because you no longer need to be. The chains are gone. Take a moment to truly feel that. Not imagine it. Not question it. Feel it. That heaviness you once carried, it is no longer yours. The past that once defined your emotions no longer controls your present. The weight that once pulled you down has been lifted, and in its place there is light. Archangel Michael stands beside you now, his presence calm, protective, and filled with a quiet pride. Not the kind that elevates ego, but the kind that honors transformation. Beloved, he says softly, this is who you were always meant to be. These words wrap around your spirit like a gentle embrace, because deep down, you recognize the truth in them. This freedom you feel is not something new. It is something remembered. Something that was always within you, waiting to be uncovered beneath the layers of pain and holding. You are not becoming someone else. You are returning to yourself. There is nothing more you need to prove. Nothing more you need to hold on to. Nothing more you need to carry to validate your journey. You are free. And with this freedom comes something even more beautiful, peace. Not the kind of peace that depends on everything around you being perfect, but a deep, steady peace that remains within you no matter what happens outside of you. A peace that comes from knowing that you are no longer bound to what was, but fully present in what is. Archangel Michael gently reminds you of something important as this journey comes to a close. Freedom is not a moment, he says. It is a way of being. This means that what you have stepped into is not temporary. It is not something that will fade unless you allow it to. It is a state you can return to again and again, simply by choosing release, by choosing peace, by choosing yourself. There may still be moments in the future where old thoughts try to return, where memories resurface, where emotions rise. But now, you are different. Now, you know. You know that you do not have to hold on to them. You know that you can let them pass. You know that your freedom is always within your reach, and that knowing is your power. There is a deep breath within you now, one that feels full, complete, and effortless. It is not the breath of someone carrying weight. It is the breath of someone who has finally put it down. Archangel Michael's presence begins to soften, not because he is leaving, but because you no longer need to be held in the same way. You have stepped into your own strength, your own awareness, your own light. But his guidance remains. His protection remains. And most importantly, your connection to this truth remains. As you move forward from this moment, carry this with you, not as a burden, but as a reminder. You are not meant to live weighed down. You are meant to rise. You are meant to move through life with a heart that is open, a spirit that is free, and a soul that is aligned with peace. And now you are. Type "I am free" and "I rise" in the comments if you receive this truth. Blessing code 9090 has now been released over your life. And as this peace settles into your heart, know that this message was never meant to stop with you. Just as you were guided here, there are countless souls still waiting, still searching, still carrying the same weight you have just released. This is where your moment becomes a mission. The Lord declares, "Those who sow in tears shall reap in joy," and right now, your release has positioned you to sow into the freedom of others. This is not about giving to a channel. It is about becoming a vessel through which light reaches those still in darkness. I feel this deeply. I am stepping into alignment, and I will not ignore this call. If that resonates within you, then act. Through super thanks with a PayPal link and QR code in the description, you are planting seeds that will unlock chains in lives you may never even see. Every seed you release becomes a river of healing, flowing into hearts that are crying out for the same breakthrough you have received. Heaven sees your obedience, and what you give will return to you pressed down, shaken together, and overflowing. Do not delay this moment. Step into it with faith, with boldness, with certainty. Let your giving become a prophetic act that multiplies freedom across the world. Give now and watch how your life continues to rise.